Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 24th, 2019 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, your town supervisor, and we're pleased to have you with us this evening. Whether you're here in the room, as several of you are, or whether you are watching on our live stream or on cable channel 1303. However you join us tonight, we welcome you, and we want to make it as easy as possible for each of you to participate in the meeting. If you're here in the room, we have on the table in the back our agenda with all of the supporting material. If you're watching remotely, all of that same material is online, same material that we're looking at here on our screens, all is available for you to review. So with that, we will get started. We'll start with a pledge. Robin, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As we always do, we start our meeting with an open forum to give the community a chance to participate in the meeting by sharing your questions, concerns, ideas with us. And if you're watching, again, if you're watching remotely, you are welcome to call in at 303-3060, 303-3060. If you are deaf or hard of hearing, you can use that same number using your video phone, 303-3060. During the open forum, you are invited to talk about any item, whether or not it is a matter on tonight's agenda. I would note that we do have one public hearing tonight concerning the proposed demolition of structures located at 2842 West Henrietta Road. And if you are here to address that particular issue and you would like your comments to be included in the record of the hearing, I would encourage you to wait until we call that hearing. It will be one of the first things we do tonight. So, but again, we welcome your participation and really whether or not it's an item that's on tonight's agenda. Before we start with the open forum, I do want to introduce our sign language interpreters tonight. We have Danielle Cohen. Thank you, Danielle. And Susan Pence. Thank you both. We appreciate you helping us make our meetings as accessible as they can be. With that, we will now start the open forum. Is there anyone that would like to address the town board during the open forum? Aaron?
I'm feeling a little short over here.
It goes up.
It does.
Some of us like it higher.
Some of you know that I have a lot of words, so I wrote things down so I didn't lose my spot. Good evening, Supervisor Manley and members of the board and neighbors. On behalf of the Evans Farm neighborhood, thank you for continuing to provide this open forum where neighbors can share ideas and concerns alongside solutions. Throughout the year, and particularly during the budget and planning season, we ask that you keep road safety, pedestrian safety, road maintenance, and stormwater management at the top of your priorities. As residents of Evans Farm neighborhood, we are growing increasingly concerned about our neighborhood's roads. Many of our streets retain pools of standing water for hours after the conclusion of a storm. Throughout the year, we see the town's able and willing crew patching, repatching the same areas. Many of these locations form puddles in the warmer months and ice over in the winter months, adding to the deterioration of our neighborhood streets. Water which is diverted, particularly in the northern portion of the neighborhood, often drains into front yards, depressing the soil. In turn, this creates a larger puddles in an already saturated clay soil and eventually pushes into basements where sump pumps then remove the excess moisture from impacted homes. If this water could be diverted to an already existing storm drain or catch basin, we might see a reduction in road surface damage as well as other associated issues. We're a proud neighborhood, excited by foot, bicycle, household, pet, and winter farm market traffic, which affords us the opportunity to show off our little corner of perfection. However, these persistent puddles create safety concerns. As we do not have sidewalks within our neighborhood, children, families, and pets walk in the roads. While this creates a beautiful, almost Norman Rockwell front yard community environment, the puddling water creates safety risks. Where puddles and ice appear, these same pedestrians are forced to move into the middle of the road or elsewhere. The same is true of bicycle riders and joggers. We're a child-centered and child-dense neighborhood. With several sprains and lacerations already reported this year, we're growing concerned that a more serious accident is just around the corner. The perception of our neighborhood's curb appeal is also a growing concern. Though property values are up, poorly maintained streets are causing us to feel more negative about our town's repair schedule. It gives us reason to wonder how other people view our beautiful neighborhood and how others consider home values when shopping for a place to raise their families. We desire to be as proud of our outside of our homes as we are about the amazing town we call home. Over the coming weeks and months, our neighbors will be sharing their own stories and views of the streets surrounding their homes. For some, these issues are as simple as allowing water to drain quickly and appropriately from the roadway. For others, speeding, traffic signals, and pedestrian safety at all hours of the day are of critical concern. And for some, the simple knowledge of when a road might be replaced, repaired, or resurfaced would clarify the picture of when it's time to speak up. We're hoping that the town will take several actions. First, to create an online resource listing the repair schedules, resurfacing schedules, and replacement schedules for each street in the town. Perhaps knowing our road was last replaced in 1985 would make an easier case for replacement, while knowing it was replaced in 2015 would cause alarm if anything had already begun to fail. And second, while we're a neighborhood which enjoys the beauty of our natural environment, we do have properties and roadways to maintain. Where possible, we would like to see standing water eliminated from our streets. If not possible, we'd like to see a corrective plan to have the same standing water diverted to a more appropriate location, such as a catch basin or a storm sewer system. Lastly, I'd like to thank the members of the board who have personally spoken with me on this topic, as well as Supervisor Maley. Evans Farm looks forward to working with Mr. Guyon in the upcoming weeks, and together we hope to illustrate the areas of largest concern, then collaborating towards the best solutions possible. We ask that you please help us help Brighton to look its best, while remaining safe for our children, families, and pets to walk, bike, jog, and play. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Aaron. If you'd like to submit those comments to Dan, they'll go into the record of the meeting verbatim.
That'd be great.
I know, we have talked, and I know you've talked to Mike, and actually I did see the request for neighbors in your neighborhood on Facebook to reach out, and I think we got one of those today. Haven't had a chance to read it yet, but so, we know how important the streets are. We generally have a regular cycle on street maintenance. We do chip seal about every 10 years, and in the third cycle, we do a full milling and repaving. To a certain extent, we do look at specific conditions on a street, and I know that's one of the things that Mike is going to be doing when he's out meeting with you, and we'll take a look to see, where it should be. I like the idea. The one thing I will say, though, that may make it problematic, we don't always know until after the budget is done what we're going to do. And on occasion, even then, we may not, typically because of weather, get everything done that we had expected to get done. But the notion of having, of trying to put information about where we expect to get is a good one, and similar to what we do with leaves and our lawn and garden debris update. So it's something we'll look at.
That'd be great.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we're all very well aware that it'll take some time to get it into the plan, into the budget. And the neighborhood asked that I come and present that so that it was part of that ongoing process rather than having 20 people come in and
We have,
pitchforks and stuff.
we're challenged every year, particularly by the state tax cap. But infrastructure is one of the places that we simply won't cut back on. we know we've got to maintain the roads. We know we've got to maintain the sewers, the gutters, the sidewalks. So when we have to look at cuts, and we do, those essential ongoing infrastructure maintenance projects are really at the top, to keep and maintain, because they are important to the appearance of the community, and the reality that this is, the best place to live, work, and raise a family. So, thanks for
Thank you.
coming in, and we appreciate your neighbors for, bringing some of those locations to our attention.
Glad we could do it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Aaron, if I might,
Yeah,
I'm
please.
impressed by the very positive nature of the letter that you've circulated. I've received it twice now today.
Oh, thank you.
And that you've engaged, Mike Guyon in the process as well. That's how we get things done. Sadly, all it takes is money, and the tax cap is, that tax cap is a killer, but we're in the budget process right now.
And I'd like to add that from the moment I called Mike, it was nothing but, oh, you got a hole? Let me jump in it with you. And he's been incredibly,
That's
I'd
Mike.
say that even if you weren't sitting here, but he's been very responsive and very quick, and we do have a potential meeting set up with our neighbors. We're just trying to nail down the details about when we can walk around and look at some of those trouble spots.
Terrific. And to a certain extent, I know a lot of your focus has been on the infrastructure, the paving, any potholes and all that. But I also heard concern about traffic and speeding. And obviously that's a police department issue. And if there are, unfortunately, we know there are people that, particularly in a neighborhood like yours, the streets are relatively short for the most part. So it's hard for people to get too far up to speed, but those stop signs seem to disappear in drivers' eyes sometimes, and we really want to get the message out there. And one of the things our police do when they're out in the neighborhoods, what we've discovered in doing neighborhood patrolling is that overwhelmingly the people that are ticketed are people, unfortunately, who live in the neighborhood. I guess that's to be expected because they're the most likely to be driving in the neighborhood. But we really, whether it's on the main streets or whether it's on the neighborhood streets, we really want to urge people to do, as the signs say, drive like your kids live here. And we'll be rolling out some more traffic safety.
For anybody that does use the community center, I would ask that they keep in mind that there are a lot of kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Coming in
absolutely.
and out from the bus loop at Brookside can be challenging in the morning if you need to get Dunkin' and get your cup of coffee, but we would ask that you wait till you leave the neighborhood to maybe come up to full speed. So,
Well, again, thank you. Appreciate you coming in.
thank you. Thanks for listening.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during our open forum this evening? Hearing none, we will continue on with the agenda. Can I?
Bill, I move that we approve the agenda.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. We do have one public hearing tonight. It's concerning the proposed demolition of dangerous and unsafe structures at 2842 West Henrietta Road. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given in this matter?
Yes, Supervisor. The notice was in the July 18th edition of the Brighton Pittsburgh Post, as well as the website and the board here at Town Hall.
Thank you. Then I declare this public hearing to be open. I'd like to start with our Commissioner of Public Works, Mike Guyon, talking a little bit. You have, with you here the record as it relates to that property. And Mike, if you can talk about what we have there a little bit.
Sure, we went out to look at 2842. It has been severely damaged by the weather. It's a residential house. It's been severely damaged by the weather. You can see some of the external elements are, from the pictures of the report, are degraded. It has become an attractive nuisance, and we believe it's unsafe for the general public. If you look at it, you can see a portion of the home itself on the report has come off the foundation. And obviously it is unfit for the purposes of which it was intended. We'd like to also take down there's a detached garage out there, we'd like to take that down also. That is an unsafe structure. And that's what we're asking for tonight, be able to take down that building and restore the site to its natural, I guess, without the building, so.
Good. All right, thanks, Mike. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board concerning this matter? Come on in. Welcome.
Good evening. My name's Bruce Coleman, and I'm the property owner. And 2 days ago, I stopped when I got the certified letter explaining that the building had to come down and there would be this hearing. I met briefly with Mike Guyon and Ramsey Baynard, and they gave me the name of 2 outfits who can do a controlled demolition, and I guess they've been used in town properties before. So I did speak with a Julie yesterday, and I'm quite certain I'll be going with them and having them do a controlled demolition. She just needed to look at the site, but she gave me a ballpark figure, which I anticipate will be acceptable. So I'll certainly get it addressed, hopefully within the 10-day period, depending upon their schedule. Unfortunately, I've been trying to sell this property since about 2004 when I sold the business. And originally it was going to be a location for one of the stores in the business, and we ended up going on the corner where the Starbucks currently is. I've got just 10 days ago an offer to purchase it, but I would need to finance it for a 15-year period for the buyer. And I pretty much accepted their proposal just as I'm anxious to get out from under this, and knew the building was rough shape. Didn't quite understand how badly because I never go in it. But the plan was the buyer would have to deal with it. And on the off chance the buyer was thinking they could perhaps use this building, one of the conditions in my acceptance of their offer was the building had to come down. So again, I hope to have a figure within a day or so, and we'll certainly move quickly to have it done, removed properly and per the town requirements.
So you're not planning on waiting until after the transaction closes to take it down?
No,
Okay.
I've already told the broker that I'm going to just add that figure into the
Okay.
sum.
I mean, your deal is your deal, and we don't want to,
Right.
interfere with that, but we do want it.
Understanding that he never did, drag on for a period of time, and
Yeah.
obviously time is the essence here. I've been given 10 days and
Yeah.
want to have control of doing it.
And what I would ask is that you stay in touch with Mike.
Absolutely.
We do look for the 10 days, and we really want to see you do it within that time period. If it becomes an issue, make sure you let Mike know.
I certainly will.
But I appreciate you coming in very much.
Not at all.
It's helpful for us when the owner does come in and, we learn a
Well,
little bit more about
it's the least I can do,
intention.
having heard how badly it is. Fortunately, that tree obscures it. You don't even know it's back there, so
Well,
out of
that's,
sight, out of mind.
yeah, that's very true. Until the Tim Hortons opened up, and of course,
when
in the
it-
winter, you can see through a little bit better.
Right.
But yeah,
Apparently, I
seeing it-
choose not to.
Supervisor, if I may, just 2 matters briefly on this. First, to clarify, the demolition needs to commence within 10 days, but you have 30 days to complete it. So I want to make sure that you and your contractor understand that, presuming that the board does vote to adopt the resolution that I drafted. And I do recommend that despite the owner being here and in good faith indicating his intention to have the property demolished within the time frame that we have required, It would still be my recommendation that you do take action on the resolution before you, so that if things do go awry, you are in a position to have the commissioner take action to have that property, which is a dangerous property, taken down.
Thank you. Any other comments from members of the audience? Any comments from members of the board?
Just by way of a question, Ken or Mike, now, if we adopt this resolution that's before us that requires demolition to commence within 10 days, be completed within 30 days, and the property owner does move forward and takes it down within that time period, we don't have to take any action. But what happens, what's our protection in the event the building doesn't come down within that 10 to 30-day window?
So what we've done in the past in those circumstances is then we seek out bids for demolition work and hire a contractor by the town to then demolish the building and take down the unsafe structures. And then those charges for that demolition work will become a charge against the property on the tax bill.
Okay. Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Good. Again, anybody else, any comments? Hearing none, then I declare the public hearing to be closed. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, for being here. And can I have a motion on the resolution you have before you to direct the demolition of this property?
So moved, Bill.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Communications. Can I have a motion to receive and file the communications?
So moved. Second.
Couple things tonight that I want to talk about. First is the first one, the Reimagine RTS plan. I've spoken about this plan before. What I saw in the drafting stage, I said this isn't reimagining, it's more of a nightmare. And unfortunately, despite the written comments that I had submitted, despite communications from others, Brighton really gets the short end of the stick on the RTS plan. It is unacceptable. I'm just going to say that. It is absolutely unacceptable that service on Elmwood is cut almost entirely. Elmwood Avenue existing line, the 48 bus, is so important to people. It currently comes down University, down Winton, and across Elmwood through the 12 corners, past Town Hall, past senior communities, several apartment complexes, and ultimately to the University of Rochester and the U of R Medical Center, the largest employer in Monroe County. And we are making a terrible, not we, the RTS, is making a terrible mistake when they cut transit service to the largest employer in Monroe County. It's unconscionable. Every notion of equity and fairness would recognize how important it is to have transit service for everybody to get to the U of R and the medical center. But look at some of the other places it's going by. Town Hall, people who are coming to Town Hall itself, to court, to the library to use the free internet service, going to shop in the 12 corners. The Reimagine RTS plan started out with some, high and mighty sort of language about how their goal in urban dense areas was to have 15-minute interval service. And what did they mean by dense urban areas? If you looked at their map, if you looked at their study, everything inside what we used to call the outer loop, in other words, 390, 590, everything inside that is supposed to be 15-minute. That's the goal. And instead of that, they've cut. They had the opportunity on Monroe Avenue to add 15-minute service. Right now, it's 15-minute service is going to stop at Highland Avenue, at the city line, not out at 590, not giving people who have jobs along the Monroe Avenue corridor, who want to shop along the Monroe Avenue corridor. This is bad policy, period, plain and simple. It is inconsistent with everything we're doing to encourage sustainable transportation. I met with Bill Carpenter. I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed, Bill, that you clearly did not listen to town government or the people in the town of Brighton. And that simply is not going to stand. Other communities have these, these pseudo-Uber hubs that are they're a pale imitation of real public transit service, but we don't even have that. Pittsford, Irondequoit, Henrietta have that kind of service, and you know, for whatever reason, is it political? I don't know. But the 37,000 people in the town of Brighton, and by the way, that's not the only line. We made it very clear how important the Mount Hope service going in to East River Road, Merlin Drive, where international students live. Many of those international students rely on transit. They are not wealthy people. There's a new medical imaging facility there. We made it absolutely clear that it was vital that they continue that service. And by the way, in the approval of the incentive zoning project for the U of R, one of the basic prerequisites underlying our environmental review was the existence of transit service serving that development area. So when and if the U of R engages in their next development in that area, well, we're going to have to look very closely at the environmental review of the project, because the prerequisites aren't going to be met as of next year. So again, I'm very, very disappointed in what RTS has done. And Christine, I
I'd
know
like
you've been-
to add to that disappointment. I want to make it clear that RTS, in its responses to all of us who have communicated with them, they did go through the due diligence of responding to every single communication in a very efficient boilerplate manner. And they have the audacity to suggest that many of the primary destinations are reachable by transit, but they are shoving that off onto the private entities. For example, they suggest that travelers through or from Brighton who are heading to the River campus at the University of Rochester can catch the Orange Line provided by the University of Rochester. Well, that's all well and good if you hold a University of Rochester ID, but there are many people in this community who have legitimate business at that center of learning and employment who don't hold a U of R ID and have no reason to hold a U of R ID and therefore are ineligible to ride private transit to campus. RTS is not providing public transportation to the public in this community. They are not providing transit to the VA clinic and other medical sites on Sawgrass Drive. They are not connecting the JCC, a Center for Health and Fitness, that should not require a vehicle to get to.
Although for some reason they're going to have service to the new Y.
Yes.
And you have to wonder, what's the difference between those two? Why is it that they chose to serve one and not the other?
No service to SUNY Empire College, no public service to RIT. Minimal, bare minimum service to the major apartment complexes in the community. Many nursing homes and senior living communities are not connected by bus, effectively locking in the residents into their homes and making it virtually impossible for employees who work there to reach the destination unless they have their own private vehicles. And that's just the beginning of the list. This is not a public transit system.
They've gutted it.
Something not even close to it.
Yep.
So,
And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when you cut a transit system the transit system withers. It feeds, that neglect feeds on itself. And that seems to be an intentional policy on the part of RTS and Monroe County. Okay, well, some better communication, as always. We talk about the Sustainability Oversight Committee and their work each year to review our capital improvement plan. We met with the Sustainability Oversight Committee a few days ago to talk with members of that committee, get input into their ideas as to how we can make sure our capital spending is done in a way that will make the town more sustainable, make our municipality, make our municipal operations more sustainable. And they always go to great lengths and have some great ideas to do that. They also, and I always appreciate, they recognize some of the many things that the town has already done or is committed to doing that already are consistent with that sustainability goal. So really appreciate their work and their communication. Fortunately, the heat wave is over, but we did get a communication from NYSEG and RG&E before things got hot here last weekend with some thoughts on what residents can do to deal with the heat. And then finally, we have a nice letter from Emily Kelsey, our Senior Citizen Program Coordinator. Last week, the senior program had their annual summer picnic, and we've all heard about the 50th anniversary of Neil Armstrong. Well, they adopted that as their theme and made it an out-of-this-world summer picnic with foods. They had Marshmallow Moon Oreos. They had music. The band that was playing songs like Blue Moon, Moon Over Miami. It was corny, but it was fun, and people really got into it. And especially Emily and Becky Cotter, our recreation director, really put a lot of time, some volunteers. Bobby put a lot of time into that as well. So thank you all, and Emily, thank you for your communication. I was there, and it was a blast. So we have a motion to receive and file all of those communications. Dan, please call the roll unless we have any more discussion.
Councilmember DeBonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Committee reports. Community Services Committee. Robin?
Thanks, Bill. The Community Services Committee met on Wednesday, July 17th at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside School. Among the items that we discussed were, in open forum, Dennis Adams of the Corbett's Glen Advisory Council reported on a meeting that he had attended on invasive species that was offered by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. And he discussed what he learned at the meeting within the context of Corbett's Glen. He identified Japanese knotweed as being an invasive species of most concern to the Glen. He indicated that it may be controlled through mowing or trenching, but it would be prohibitively labor and cost intensive to address as it currently occupies acres of the Glen. One of the DEC speakers, who happens to reside in Henrietta, did offer to get involved in help exploring managing invasive species in both Henrietta and Brighton, and we will be consulting with our partners in government in Henrietta, in particular the Supervisor Steve Schultz, regarding potential collaboration with the DEC representative. Under guidance from the Corbett's Glen Advisory Council, new road signage and road surface labeling was installed at Corbett's Glen. This, along with an increased police presence, thank you so much, Brighton Police Department, has resulted in a huge improvement in parking compliance, according to Dennis's observations. Trash being left on Glen Road and in other parts of Corbett's Glen, the volume of dogs visiting the park and swimmers were also discussed. Dennis noticing fewer unleashed dogs in the park, as well as fewer people breaching the knee fencing. There was a discussion of potential formation of a Friends of Corbett's Glen committee to have a presence regularly engaged on some of the areas that continue to be of concern and need to be addressed within the park, as well as a discussion of what the structure of that committee might assume. In communications, we had an email communication from Mary Ellen Blanchard regarding Salty's Law to strengthen animal welfare and cruelty prevention. This law pertains mostly to puppy mills and breeders, and this subject has been tabled within the context of the Community Services Committee meeting and moved to the Public Safety Committee meeting agenda, where Chief Henderson will address some of the concerns raised. Under items of continuing business, for our recreation programs, Becky Cotter noted that there was a discussion of our Tuesday night concert series in relation to parking and concessions. Parking issues have improved greatly, with Brighton Youth Soccer not holding their soccer program targeted at its youngest age contingent in the park on Tuesdays. Those youth soccer games have been relocated to Meridian Center Park. A new food vendor has been added for Tuesdays and is operating out of a cart as opposed to any of the structures within the park. And so far, it seems to be working really well. Brighton Recreation summer camps are underway and proceeding smoothly. Enrollment is lower this year due to changes introduced to accommodate construction within the Brighton Central School District buildings. Recreation staff is working around our space limitations as best they can. The Buckland House docent plans are moving forward, as we have recently received a commitment of financial sponsorship from the Brighton Rotary. Thank you so much for your help. For the purchase and installation of an art hanging system for possibly 2 of the rooms within the house. Whiter's Hardware donated a key lock box so that we can better control access to and egress, bless you, from the house, and a schedule of activities and open hours is being developed by the team of volunteers. Summer and fall recreation programs were discussed as the fall brochure planning is well underway, while promotion of summer programming is ongoing. The Brighton seniors, as Bill noted, hosted their annual summer picnic that was very well received and well attended. And this year, as Bill mentioned, again, it included a space theme and had a rocket launch to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. Finally, Becky updated us on the pets in public buildings during recreation programs, as well as what protections the Americans with Disability Act provides for service animals versus emotional support animals, and processes will be implemented to ensure safety, inclusivity, and regulatory compliance for all Brighton recreation programming with regard to our four-legged friends. We had an update on the development at the Winter Farmers Market. A meeting occurred on July 17th to discuss phase 2 of planning, which will now primarily focus on the interior building build out of the barn. Completion of the phase 1 punch list is ongoing, as there have been issues with doors operating smoothly. We're working cooperatively with the vendor who installed the doors to address those items. Every attempt is being made to include trail expansion, contiguity and this crosswalk from the Brickyard Trail to the Buckland House parking lot across Westfall Road in phase 2 of this project. An update to the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Committee. We are currently executing a doodle poll in order to schedule the initial meeting of the full committee.
And I think we have a date.
Yes, we do have a date. And we are looking forward to having a strong town board presence at that first committee meeting to demonstrate the town's support and commitment for the goals of the committee. There are currently 3 open positions on the committee, and the process for filling these available positions is to be determined at a later time. The initial meeting should be held early August, so stay tuned. An update to our community choice aggregation law. The 4 MOU municipalities have convened and each expressed preliminary preferences for a particular administrator. A list of follow-up questions has been submitted to the 2 respondent administrators, and we are awaiting distribution of those responses before moving on to the next steps of a final selection of a CCA administrator. End of summer remains the target timeframe for making final decisions. An update to our Brighton Safe Streets for All community group. At the time of our meeting, there was no update on the opportunity to work with an intern to develop ideas around the intersection of Torrington and Brooklawn at Monroe Avenue. We expect more movement on that opportunity during the new academic year. There was a lengthy discussion of inquiries from residents regarding the reimagined RTS routing and the lack of service to community amenities like Brighton Memorial Library and Brighton Town Hall. Anticipated cuts in routes in Brighton and Henrietta are very troubling and impactful to this community. There was also related discussion of route cutbacks on development projects that were previously approved, as Bill mentioned, with existing transit components, and how available public transit impacts seeker for larger projects. Ultimately, residents rely on RTS for transportation and accessing important points in Brighton, including RIT, the U of R campus, medical and office buildings, the VA clinic, etc. The town is committed to community mobility zones and the need to engage with underserved populations to better examine the impacts of these route reductions, particularly on our senior and differently abled communities. Also related to transit, school zones and speed limits within the town are currently being reviewed, particularly researching the entire infrastructure within school zones to make sure that appropriate, consistent markings and signage is in place in all zones. In an update to our Council Member on Your Corner program, we have had 3 Council Member on Your Corners events. The overwhelming community feedback is positive. The next event will be held this Sunday, July 28th, 2019, and Supervisor Maley will be added to the schedule to discuss the Highland Crossing opening. We had an update on our noise ordinance benchmarking. We've collected noise ordinances from other municipalities, including the City of Rochester, Penfield, Pittsford, Mendon, Arundecoit, and Phelps, who has a very intricate decibel-based noise ordinance. Additional communication indicating concern has been registered with regard to noise nuisances. So we continue to review the appropriate enforcement and language with regard to the applicable window of enforcement and the appropriateness of inclusion of decibel-based language. It was noted that this discussion of acceptable timing and decibel-based enforcement for noise pertains only to private residents and contractors. Town operations are not subject to change as a result of any potential code review or revisions. Under items of new business, we talked about the complete count, potential for a Brighton complete count committee. 2020 is almost upon us, and that means so is the decennial census. There is a Rochester Monroe Complete Count Committee overseen by Susan Perry that held its inaugural meeting in mid-June of 2019. One of the subcommittees is a municipal committee. Dave Seeley, as president of the Supervisors Association, will be chairing municipal efforts as they relate to complete count. There are geographic and circumstantial populations in Brighton that we're concerned about being at risk for undercount. The town is working to identify those places where potential problems might exist and target those areas to ensure participation in the census. We're open to input on areas or entities that should be engaged for maximum inclusion, and it may be a topic discussed within the context of the IDEA board. The Rochester Monroe Complete Count Committee is planning to do municipal presentations, and there is the potential for cable access videos and other marketing means to be engaged. The town of Brighton will be actively involved to try to ensure an accurate count for our community, as this count helps determine access to resources over the next 10 years. Finally, we discussed compost districts. As the supervisor alluded to, we received an email communication from Color Brighton Green inquiring about the potential for curbside composting within the town. This has been an item of discussion for some time among the Sustainability Oversight Committee, and currently price point and scalability of existing programs are concerns for obtaining widespread buy-in from neighborhoods and enabling the establishment of a pilot district. While it's too late to add compost districts for calendar 2020, the town continues to explore potential partnerships and grant programs to enable providing this service. It's a topic that will be explored in detail beginning in September when the Sustainability Oversight Committee reconvenes. Finally, I wanted to mention a couple of upcoming events we have on our calendar. The semi-annual Electronics Recycling and Document Shredding event will take place at the Brighton Highway Department, 1941 Elmwood Avenue, on Saturday, October 12th, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And the semi-annual DEA Pharmaceutical Take-Back event will be at the Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing, 2300 Elmwood Avenue, on Saturday, October 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, August 21st, 2019, at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside School, 220 Idlewood Road. As always, members of the public are welcome to attend.
Thanks, Robin. Jason, Finance Committee.
Yes, over the past couple of weeks, the Finance Committee has met twice. The first on Wednesday, July 17th, we had our regular business meeting. Each of the items discussed during our July 17th meeting appear on tonight's agenda and will be voted on and discussed further. And again, we met on Friday, July 19th to begin our discussion of the Capital Improvement Plan, the CIP. That meeting was attended by the full town board, and we went over recommendations mainly from the highway and sewer departments, and that one will be continued. So now, the upcoming meetings for the finance will be the continuation of our CIP discussion will take place this Friday, July 26th. We'll meet at 8:30 in the morning in the Stage Conference Meeting Room, and then our regular business meeting for the Finance and Administrative Services Committee will be next Wednesday, August 7th. Again, at 8:30 in the morning in the Stage Conference Room here at Town Hall. Both meetings are open to the public, and individuals are welcome to attend.
Thank you, Jason. Public Safety.
Public Safety has not met since the last town board meeting. The next meeting will be Tuesday, August 13th at 8 a.m. in the lower level meeting room here in Town Hall. The agenda and minutes are published online, and of course the public is encouraged to attend. I will note that matters that have been brought to our attention by citizens who connect with us during Council Member on the Corner will be on the agenda, so you do have a direct pipeline to the matters that we work on regularly on your behalf. And this coming meeting, those matters will include, but they're not limited to, traffic safety in neighborhoods, safe bike routes through town, and we will continue our focus on schools, school speed zones throughout town.
Thanks, Christine. Chris, Public Works.
Public Works meets monthly. The next is the August 6th meeting at 9 o'clock in the lower conference room, and the public is invited to attend.
Thank you so much. New business. Jason, reading and approval of claims.
Yes, earlier this evening, I reviewed claims totaling $1,133,985.56. Notable claims include to the Depository Trust Company in the amount of $157,823.76, representing payments for principal and interest for the 2017 and for the 2018 serial bonds, mainly for highway and sewer equipment. Also to Fisher Associates in the amount of $67,681.22, representing payments for applications number 24 for construction inspection services for the Highland Crossing Trail. Also to Plant Concepts Incorporated in the amount of $11,304 for contracted services for mowing the park areas in the town. To Roman Construction Development Corporation in the amount of $149,610.84 for services for the sidewalk repair program as outlined in the board-approved contract less retainage amount. And to Suit Coat Corporation in the amount of $92,907.37 for oil and stone for the ongoing seasonal maintenance and road repairs. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is for authorization for the bid award to Road Tech LLC for construction of the roadway improvements at the Reserve subdivision, and to authorize the supervisor to execute all related documents. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
As you recall, we have the proceeds of a letter of credit that we had to draw upon that was provided by the developer for this work. The work had not been done by the developer, so we had that money available, and the bid came in within the amount that we had available under that letter of credit. Timeline, Mike, in terms of that work?
The intent is to try to get it at the very least started in August, so started and finished August, September.
Okay. And that's really the final coat, the top coat on the public town streets in the reserve, not the private streets. There's a couple of streets in the reserve that are dedicated town streets. Those are the streets that we'll be doing the work on. Christine, next.
We're going to vote.
Oh, we have to vote too, huh? That's probably a good thing. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye.
You were just very excited about this next
I
one.
was. I was.
So-
Now, Christine.
So the next matter
Honey.
seeks seeks approval for acceptance of the Buckle Up New York grant from the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee in an amount totaling $10,360, and amend the 2019 budget of the police department to reflect said grant. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Why don't you do the next one? Chris, I'm sorry.
Which Chris? No. Next is to authorize a one-year renewal of agreement with Scanex Pipe Services INC for rehabilitation of sanitary sewer system via the cured-in-place pipelining methodology. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. You can do the next one too, Chris.
Next is to authorize a budget transfer in the amount of $1,929.60 from the Highway and Sewer Department's Highway Road Repair, Sewer Construction Repair account to the Highway Administration or other contract services account to fund the Highway Department's share of monthly fees for two-way radio system. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that?
You want me to read it again? It's kind of...
Hearing no serious comment, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason.
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize a pre-entitlement age, total and permanent disability benefit to a participant in the West Brighton Fire Department Length of Service Awards Program. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Robin.
On the matter that seeks to set a public hearing date for proposed Orchard Drive parking local law directing the installation of no parking signs along a portion of Orchard Drive east of the Meadow Drive intersection. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to approve the appointment of a person to position of clerk to the town justice. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Any discussion on that? None? Dan, please call the roll again.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye, and I just want to say, we spent a lot of time working with Judge Morris and Judge Falk, and also Tricia Van Putty, our HR director. This is an important hire. We believe, I think with good reason, that our courts here in Brighton are the finest in Monroe County of any town. So we want to make sure that we hired the right people, and I know our judges are very excited to have our new candidate coming in. So, all right. Matters of the supervisor. We have the second quarter 2019 report and the June expense and revenue report. Paula, take it
I know
away.
everybody's dying to hear about the second quarter, right? Right? Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
As a matter of fact, I'm going to just quickly remind everybody about our budget. We're going to focus tonight on the general, highway, and library funds. We raise about $25.8 million in total expenses. That's funded by almost $15 million. We're just shy of $15 million in tax levy, about 58%. We appropriate fund balance and other reserves, 1.2 million or 5%, and the remaining 37% is all that other revenue sources. That's 9.5 million. Let's talk about those other revenue sources. 54% of that 9.5 million is actually sales tax. Sales tax amounts to over 4.2 million a year. We've received our first payment. Our first payment is the highest payment for the first quarter we've ever received and is trending 1% over budget. We'd like that to be more. It's got to be more, but that's a good start. Our mortgage tax came in at about 51% of what we budgeted. It was over $400,000, and if you remember last year, we only collected $267,000 that first half of the year. So we did come in at $454,000, 51% projected of our budget. So those two revenues are coming in very strong this year, which is good news.
and particularly the mortgage tax, because we're now in the busy mortgage tax
Yes.
season, which isn't reflected in those.
That's right, because your December
First
payment
half
is going to
numbers.
reflect your sales up through October. Okay, so there's a little bit of a lag there. The remaining 4.5 million is all of the other departmental income, things like state aid, our pilot payments, interest income. So there's some good news there too. Through the 6 months, so we're 50%, again, 50% of our fiscal year, we've recorded a total of 2.9 million, 65% of those revenues, so we are trending ahead. Couple of things that make that happen are pilot receipts. We always collect those early in the year, so they're always at 100%. The other thing that's showing, we're doing great with is our interest earnings. With some investments that I've done through some liquid asset funds and some treasury bills, we've been able to make about, on average, 2.35% on our investments. Right now, I've collected 72%. And again, we're at 50, so 72% of what we've budgeted for our interest earnings this year. So hopefully that trend will remain, and we'll be collecting well over what we budgeted. Other departmental income is coming in at 56%, again, trending over. The main reason is our license and permits are up. We also have some little bit of sluggish areas that we're watching, and those are fines and sales and compensation for losses, which is usually insurance recoveries, and if they're not very big, that's okay because we don't have the expense to tie with them. So revenues are trending very nicely. Expenditures. Remember, we're spending $25.8 million, and $19.2 million relates to our employee expenses, wages, and benefits. I'm happy to tell you that our full and part-time wages to date are trending under budget. We're at 47% versus 50%. And again, we usually trend right on budget because we're only funding and paying for positions that are authorized in our budget. Overtime, however, can be a problem, as you are all aware of. And this year, we're just over budget at 54% of the amount we spent, $218,000. So what we had was our police budget, who's faring very well. Kudos to you. They're at 38.4%. They've spent $75,000 of their $200,000 overtime budget. Highway, however, they're at 70%, which is absolutely normal and trending exactly where we have in the past. They're at $142,000. That's because earlier in the year, we had snow removal and different things. So we will hopefully hold that snow off until December or January so that we can, minimize that overtime. Actually, I will say that we are performing better than we did in 18 by $21,000. So we are doing a little bit better. So good job. The other thing is our employee retirement benefits. That's about $6.4 million. 50% of that, or $3.2 million, relates to the medical insurance premium and dental benefits for our active and retired employees. We trend that a month ahead, so we're at 58% instead of 50% because we always have to pay those bills a little bit ahead. So we're under budget by about 2.5% on that as well, so that's trending very well. The state retirement is another $2 million, just under, and that always trends the way it should because we know usually at budget time about August what our payment's going to be for the following year. Exclusive of our wages, we've got the capital equipment outlay and our contractual expenses and of course our debt service. Our capital outlay was about, exclusive of CIP and borrowed funds, was about $1 million, just over $1 million. We've got $500,000 tied up in encumbrances. We've spent about $1 million, so we're trending at about 53%. Again, we're getting those capital expenditures done, and they should be done and finished by year end. Our contractual expenditures, we've encumbered or spent 74%. That does seem high given the fact that we're only at 50% of our year. However, our actual expenses, the dollars that we've sent out of our town here, only amounted to 34%. So the remainder of that 40% is locked up on our purchase orders. Remember, a purchase order system is a promise to pay. We like to lock that money up so we don't spend it twice. So as much as we can, we try to lock those purchases up. So when I look at the actual expenditures, again, we're trending very well. As our year progresses, though, what we'll see is we'll see that change. We'll see the actual percentage will increase and our encumbrances will decrease. Our utilities are running right on budget, actually just a little bit below at 47%. And our liability insurance is trending below budget because of our renewal was a little bit less than we anticipated. Our debt service, which makes up about 3.8%, it's just under $1 million a year. And of course, that's always on budget as we plan that. So in summary, I'd like to tell everybody that our second quarter is running very well. We're going to keep an eye on those actual expenditures. I'm going to watch the encumbrances, but as they begin to catch up, it'll be a normal process as we move forward. Revenues seem to be running on target or actually just a little bit better. Again, we keep watching that. We'll be ever watchful, and we'll look to report to you in the third quarter of the fiscal year. And we will absolutely identify our trends, and if there is any problems, we will take action swiftly and quickly to correct any shortfalls in our budget where possible.
Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you for good news, and thank you for the thoroughness in the face of spending an awful lot of time working on next year's budget. You still find the time to count the beans for this year's operations, and I thank you for that. A couple of other things I want to mention. Robin talked about the census and the complete count.
Supervisor, do you need any action?
Oh, yes, we do. I think we need to have a motion to receive and file the second quarter report.
So moved.
Second.
I'm really in a hurry to get through here tonight. We have that motion and second. Dan, please call the roll unless
Councilmember
there are
DePonte?
comments.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Okay, back to the census. I have met both with Supervisor Seeley, who, as Robin indicated, is chairing the Rochester-Monroe County local municipalities subcommittee. And I think it does make sense that we establish a Brighton Complete Count Committee. We can identify certainly groups in the community that may be more likely to be undercounted. And it is very important. It becomes relevant for different funding sources that our count counts everybody. So we're going to reach out. I anticipate we'll be looking at some of our faith communities, some of our senior living communities, some of the apartments. The county-wide committee is going to have a very active media presence as we get closer to the April 1st final sort of count date. Although, you know, it's a very different process this year because the primary count is going to be done online. So we want to encourage everybody, when you see that, to make sure you participate. And I no doubt most of you saw this, but I think very, very good news that the citizenship question will not be on the census questionnaire. And we hope that encourages everybody to know that they can participate safely in this count. So we want to count everybody that lives in Brighton, and we're going to work hard to make sure we do that. This past week, as you walked in tonight, you saw the Pride flag that is still up on the facade of Town Hall. Last week was Pride Week in Monroe County. A lot of places celebrate it in June. We like to wait until it gets really, really hot, and then we celebrate it in July. And it was really, really hot for the Pride Parade down Park Avenue on Saturday. But I think it's important to note, you know, that we in Brighton, as a government, are absolutely committed. Everybody here on the board was involved in one or more Pride-related events. I am a member of the Mayors Against LGBT Discrimination, an organization that, among other things, has been a conduit for submitting amicus briefs in various important Supreme Court cases relating to equal rights for the LGBTQ community. So we have been a leader in that effort for many, many years, starting with domestic partnership benefits for our employees, continuing with the adoption of GENDA here in Brighton well before the state adopted it, and other activities. So Pride was a great celebration. If you've never enjoyed the fun, the celebration, it is truly an upbeat, community, family-friendly, fun event. So thank everybody for participating. As I do every week, and I think people are beginning to get the message, lawn and garden debris. Our crews are out. They work incredibly hard. You know, we talk about, it's one thing to have to walk down Park Avenue in a parade on a hot day. Our men and women in the highway department are working, you know, a 10-hour day, sometimes in very, very hot conditions, doing hard work, picking up brush, garden debris. We really appreciate the work that they do. You can help them and help your neighborhood by containerizing whenever possible, and in particular, containerizing small quantities. I was on Rhinecliff yesterday, and this is how I know the message is getting out there, because I talked to someone who pointed across the street at someone and said, how come they have that little tiny pile there? Why didn't they put it in a container? So, especially for small amounts, please containerize your debris. It'll get picked up quicker in most cases. It'll keep your neighborhood neater. You won't have the issue of debris potentially draining into the storm drains. And that's why we're so focused. If you do have bulk debris, keep them on your lawn. Don't put it in the street. It's unsafe for pedestrians, for cyclists, and for drivers. It gets into the drains. We do pick up. Your lawn is not going to die. It's conceivable it'll get a little yellow, but your lawn will not die. I understand people are concerned, but our crews do get around. They do pick it up. So please, pile those debris on your lawn if you have to. Containerize if you can. The East Avenue project, the final stage of the East Avenue project is underway. And that's going to be, ongoing for several weeks. But during that time, there are some traffic issues out there. The work is being done at night, for the most part, to avoid interfering with what is a major commuter artery. So we're hoping that will get done, weather permitting, just as quickly as possible. I don't know whether they still expect it'll be done before Labor Day. I'm not sure that they do, but I think most of the work is going to be done before Labor Day. And I think that's all I have. Matters of the attorney to the town. Matters of the town clerk.
Nothing this evening.
Matters of the board.
Some rec announcements. I just want to let you know that there's still tons to see and do with Brighton Recreation Program for the remainder of the summer. Programs are offered through the end of August to keep your kiddos busy in these waning summer days. And we do have more than just camp offerings. Check out all of the available options for your entire family in our summer brochure. Registrations are ongoing. Spaces are filled on a first-come, first-served basis. So as I always say, register early and often. Now you can register for the 2019-2020 school year in our Brighton Recreation After School program. Brighton Recreation offers one of the only fully flexible after-school programs in the area for children attending Brighton Central Schools in the 1st through 5th grade. No membership is required, and you pay only for those days that you actually attend. We're registered with the New York State Office of Children and Family Services and have high staff ratios to ensure a safe, fun program for your child. Please check out our website, www.townofbrighton.org/rec, or stop in for more information. And again, I want to remind everyone to join us for the Brighton Farmers Market every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Brighton High School parking lot. We're excited for this outdoor season. And the Bands of Buckland Summer Concert Series is continuing. That's on Tuesdays, July 9th through August 13th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the Buckland Park Pavilion at 1341 Westfall Road. And lastly, I just wanted to put out a call for, or actually just recognize BriPenn Senior Rides. This is a program sponsored by Lifespan that offers senior citizens living in Brighton or Penfield rides to medical appointments, religious services, and either town's recreation centers. So you can always, we can always use volunteers for this critical service, and to find out more about the program or to become a volunteer driver, you can call 340-8674. And that's all I have on recreation announcements.
And you talking about the Tuesday night concerts reminded me of one thing I wanted to mention. We had a great show. The third
Last night.
show was last night. Noble Vibes, a great reggae band, several of whose members live right here in Brighton, one truly a stone's throw from here. You know you're going to get good music at these Tuesday night concerts, but last night we had something special. A couple who had their first date 6 years earlier at a Noble Vibes concert, not here in Brighton, in Penfield. And as the band started playing one particular song, gentleman got down on his knee and made a proposal. And it was a beautiful thing to see. They're big fans of the band. The couple lives in Brighton. I offered my services to perform the marriage ceremony. However, they're going to do it, I can't understand why, in Southern California. But congratulations. It was wonderful to see, you know, as they say down in Jamaica, one love, man. And we saw a little of that love last night. So that was fun. Any other matters of the board? Christine?
Yes, I'd like to give a brief update on the Brighton Fire District's work on making decisions about Station 3 in the northeast of Brighton. The Citizens Committee has completed their work in reviewing the consultant's proposal. The report was, a summary of that report was delivered to the Commission earlier this month on July 16th. The Commission held a workshop on Monday of this week, open to the public for observation only, in reviewing the Citizens Committee's recommendations. The public does have the opportunity to submit comment to the Commission, and the Commission will respond if there are questions. I believe the mechanism for that input is on their website. It is not a specific place, but general contact is the way to go there. They anticipate having the work of sussing out how best to proceed by October, at which point they will be setting a public meeting to announce the plan for the station. The basic question is how to staff the station, whether the station should be staffed, and if it is to be staffed full-time, whether we should be using full-time firefighters or volunteers. So the final decision is still to be announced.
Thanks, Christine. We had an incident last night, and the Brighton Fire Department did a great job with a water rescue here in Brighton. But I think that highlights the importance of having full-time firefighters in all parts of the town, in the Northeast, in the 3s, as well as 2s and 1. So I know you have advocated in your role as the town's liaison to that committee, and we are going to continue to advocate for 2 paid staff people at Station 3. They've hired additional and trained additional people. I feel very strongly incidents like last night show just how important it is to have firefighters. I appreciate volunteers. I love our volunteers, and there were volunteers out there last night in addition to the paid firefighters. But for the continuity of service, for the certainty of each part of the community knowing that fire service truly is right there at their fingertips, it is very, very important that all parts of town, East, Central, and West Brighton, have fully staffed fire stations 24/7.
And to be clear, the Citizens Committee did vote in favor of full staffing, and they voted in favor of using the recently hired firefighters to fill that staffing so that the tax impact on the community would be level.
Thank you. Can I then, unless there are other matters of the board, can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the appointment of particular people and the Whole Foods litigation?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you again to our ASL interpreters. You do a great job, and we appreciate that. Our next town board meeting will be Wednesday night on August 14th at 7 p.m. right here in Town Hall. Have a great evening, everyone.